Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gold Rush Football Podcast with Larry. And today I have the Soccer Arena Indy Crew right here with me, and I also have Pius online. But before we go on, let me bring on the guys. Bigdemmy and Mazi, how you doing now?
I'm great though. I mean, it's been a while we were here, right?
Yeah. Last year, that was the last recording we had on this podcast.
I mean, time flies, though.
I know, right?
We're glad to be here, man. I'm glad to be here. Good Rush Football Podcast. You know, you're doing great. Awesome stuff.
Bigdemmy.
Oh, Larry, thanks for having me again. Like you said, our last feature on this show was last year, December. So, Happy New Year to you guys out there. Good to be back again.
And my ever-ready Pius, always present. How you doing?
Always a pleasure, Larry. It's also good to be on the podcast again with good minds. And let's start.
All right, guys. We'll be doing the Champions League previews and the reviews, and we had 4 brilliant games on Tuesday and on Wednesday. But let's start with the one that happened at the Santiago Bernabeu. Guys, we saw some good goals. 18 goals in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. What a record we had in the Champions League. Mazi.
Yeah, I mean, with the Santiago Bernabeu game, Manchester City, being hosted by Real Madrid.
Right.
Manchester City went there to play their football. They controlled the game, in my opinion. I think they tried not to get the Madrid fans, Madrid stars. They tried not to get them, to be excited. They tried to keep the tempo down, knock passes around. But Madrid, you can't hold them down too much in their stadium. According to Pep Guardiola after the game, the press conference, he said they asked him, Madrid scored 3 goals. He said, yeah, it's the Bernabeu. We also scored 3 goals. We did our job. I don't expect to come to Madrid and humiliate them. I think he planned to play conservative. I think the final is going to be in England. That's going to be a final.
In Wembley.
Yes. So no, I'm not. I'm saying at the Etihad.
Okay.
At the Etihad is going to be
the
second leg is going to be a final. Okay. That's when Pep Guardiola is going to want to express himself. With his home support, with his fans, the yelling and all of that. But it was a good game. Fantastic goals. Some of the things that disappointed me was, I didn't really see Jude Bellingham in the game. I think he was pegged back a little bit in that game. He was trying to move forward. I didn't see Bellingham. The other thing was, Kevin De Bruyne didn't play.
Yep.
But it was a chance for Foden. Yeah,
right.
It was a chance for Foden to step up and step up. Foden did. Playing in that attacking midfielder role. So good game, but a lot to play for at the Etihad.
Bigdemmy. There was nothing cagey about this game. It was just open game, end-to-end stuff, back and forth. I mean, some cheap errors from the City side and also some good counter-attacking pressing from the Madrid side.
For me, it was a game of 2 heavyweights of European football.
Yeah.
So
when we say heavyweight, right now, I mean we say Madrid is still the heavyweight right now.
Madrid, they have 14 UCL titles.
Right. They are the kings of this competition.
They are the king of this competition. They know how to win it.
Right.
And
but you have to give the defending champions some respect.
Yes.
So Man City might not have won it 14 or 13 times, like Real Madrid has won it, but Man City will always be in a conversation of any competition, anytime, any day. I didn't really expect anything less from the tie at the Bernabeu, but I never thought we would witness a 6-goal thriller in that game. It was an end-to-end game, like you said. Foden showed prove some stuff to the world with the wonderful goal that he scored, and as well the goal by Valverde. It was no. It was made special, like it was specially made. No, it was a beautiful game of football, and I believe any team can still advance to semi-final.
I think the Guardiola goals there is worth mentioning. From the defender outside.
That's a very good goal.
Long strike.
Pius, you saw the game. I mean, we've been talking about end to end. It looks like a PlayStation game, right? Different goals. Pius.
Interesting goals were scored on the day. But I thought both sides had, opportunities when they could have even gotten a win on the day. But I must give credit to the side that came from England because they traveled down to Spain and, of course, got a draw.
Despite the fact that Real Madrid closed all the doors, Because the build up to this game, there was so many news going on. You know, the door is going to be locked. UEFA announced, support Real Madrid close on the Santiago Bernabeu. Real Madrid request for Santiago Bernabeu. There's this IC's news that something is going. I mean, there's been a lot of build up and controversies to this game. But City went there and you know they grabbed the sport. They shared the spoils.
Of course, and of course, sometimes in a game of football, you have to do what you have to do to win games. And if Real Madrid were within their right to have done all those things they did, and but unfortunately, it might or might not have even paid off because you never can tell. Probably if they had not done those things, we probably would have lost that game. But I think on the day, the two managers were tactically sound. The fact that Pep Guardiola even had to drop KDB before that game, in fact, it came as a shock to a lot of persons because, I mean, if you're looking at, you talked about creativity and attacking wise for Manchester City, KDB has to be the first name on your list. But for him being dropped on that day, showed that Pep Guardiola probably wanted to change something about that particular fixture, and it did work for him. Going to the second leg, probably we say advantage Manchester City at this time.
Advantage Man City. Let me give Mazi this. You know, we've been seeing City defensive errors, you know, all through the course of the season. You know, let's say if this game had gone the other way, like if Real Madrid had picked the maximum 3 points, would City still? I mean, would they blame themselves with those errors? Because we saw the defensive aspect of City. I mean, no doubt about that. City this season, you know, they've been conceding some goals. I mean, yes, they've been doing that in the previous seasons as well, but this season looks so obvious. And the City we know, I mean, the City we've seen over the years, and the City that won the Champions League last season, they were very good from the defense to the midfield and to the attack. But right now, I think we can't just. I want to hear your opinion on that, Mazi.
Well, I think with all due respect to Real Madrid, it was on Real Madrid to actually win that game. You know, it's their stadium, it's in front of their fans.
Right.
City has no right to win a game at the Bernabeu. You know, so but having led, I understand your question. Having led 3-2, you know, the expectation is that you can run away with victory. Maybe
right.
10 more minutes to go. You don't need to concede. City, I would say this season maybe they haven't found the right defensive pairing. You know, sometimes maybe due to injury or some pairings haven't worked. They've been juggling. I remember Ake started the season outside, but he continued the season at some point. Started playing as the centre back, pairing with Ruben Diaz, and then now we are seeing because of Ake's injury, we see Akanji now playing, you know, with Diaz, and now again we are seeing John Stones playing with Diaz. So I would say some inconsistency in how many changes they've done in that defense.
Right.
You know, we have Walker is injured, Guardiola has to come in, and he did a great job, a fantastic job. You know, I was starting from the Arsenal game. That's when Guardiola kind of stepped up because, you know, Guardiola played 1v1 with Saka. I was kind of skeptical, like, you know, Saka might take advantage of that, but he gave a good account of himself. Saka wasn't in that game. So, yeah, I would say inconsistencies, I would say injury. You know, like last season, Pep Guardiola found the formula. He had like a consistent back pairing.
Right.
And he also had a John
And
Stones.
the defenders also stepped up a little bit. Like, I mean, we can pick out some of the defenders that, I mean,
I think John Stones also, like, playing in front of the defenders.
Helped as well.
He helped, but he hasn't really had a fit John Stones this season. So he has been like a juggling act. But I also want to, you know, emphasize that City is not a team. I know last season they won it based on that. But we should remember that they've been to the final, you know, playing their all-attacking football, you know. Though they fall short here and there, maybe quarterfinal, semi-final, or they lose in the final. But they are this all-attacking side that believe that they want to win a game, you know, 4-3 or 5-4 if possible. So don't write them off just because their defense is shaky, because they have the firepower to still win games, you know. But to your point, in the defense is not. They need to improve. But it could backfire, you know.
Bigdemmy.
Well, Mazi, I want to jump on two things that you said regarding the Manchester City defense. So this is it. When you talk about the inconsistency, are you blaming it on the players or the manager this time around? Because, you know, you can answer that question later. because the reason why I said that was Pep Guardiola have a lot of defensive qualities in his squad. He is the one that chooses the players. He is the one that knows their ability from training. I don't care. You don't care as a fan because he's the one that juggles up who plays, who sits, who comes in the maybe second half or first half. So I wouldn't say inconsistency in the defense line. Let's put that on Pep because if it worked out, we praise him. And now that it's not working out, let's call a spade a spade. He's the one that is juggling what doesn't need to be juggled.
No, I won't say it's not working. I won't say it's not working.
No, you're saying inconsistency as if maybe the players don't have the ability to shut out maybe attacking players.
No, that's not exactly what I pointed to. I said, first of all, we had injuries, right? We had injuries to players, to key players. We've had form. When a form of a player dips, right, you expect the coach to react. And Pep has reacted the way a coach will react by shuffling things. I said Ake started the season playing outside, and then he noticed that he was shipping in goals, and he put Ake in the middle, which kind of made everything quite consistent. So what else do you expect from a coach? At least a coach will react to. If he did not react, it will be different. And when you say, let's put it on the coach, we can't blame Pep for anything because he has squeezed out the results, right? Like, it's part of the sacrifice that you also pay for being an attacking side. Because he can decide to play a low block and say, okay, I don't want to concede goals. Let me play a low block. Let me play 5 at the back. But he's not sacrificing the attack. And right now they are sitting on top of the league. They're in the FA Cup semi-final. They're in the Champions League quarter-final. So you can't start blaming anybody yet until we start seeing losses.
Sorry, Larry. Okay. My second question for Mazi is this again. You credited Vadio for his fantastic display against Arsenal, against Bukayo Saka. But you right here, you still told us that John Stone has not been fit. That's why he's been in and out of the team. But the game that Arsenal played against Manchester City, did you think we had a fit Bukayo Saka? So if Bukayo Saka was fit, do you think Vadio would have had a very nice game?
Well, we'll be talking about Arsenal in a bit. We'll be having a lot of conversation about Arsenal in a bit. But Pius, let me give you this: can City fix their defensive side of their game? Can they fix it going into the second leg?
Honestly, to be honest with you, I do not think the issue is on the defense. Because if you take a look at the defender City had last season, they probably don't have anyone leaving that side. In fact, they have additions rather than subtractions. I think the issue is the midfield. Because if you take a look at City's midfield, when they are without the ball, they have 2 players who are supporting the defense, Rodri and John Stones, because John Stones had to pair with Rodri in midfield. But this season, they had a couple of players leave. Sometimes Akegonagan also pairs Rodri in midfield, and he also helps the defense. But you have some of those kind of players leave, and their replacements haven't been that solid. Because if you bring in a player like Mateo Kovacic to pair Rodri, I think it has really not worked. And then you also have a Matheus Nunes who is also attacking-minded. It has also not worked. So I think some of the additions in midfield have not really helped City's cause in defense. I'm linking the two together because if you take a look at City's attack, they start the attack from the back. And when they are also defending, the midfielders also support the defenders, and that's how Pep Guardiola plays. And that's how sometimes you remember all season I've been talking about the acquisitions. I think the recruitment have not been that great. That's not to say they will not come good later. But for this season, for the sake of this conversation, I don't think he has made like for like. Yeah, they might be like for like, but I don't think they have replaced the players who have left that midfield. I think something is still missing. Something is still wrong with that City's midfield. If you take a look at their game against Luton Town, yes, they won 5-1, but the organization of that midfield wasn't so great. It didn't show a lot because they played a side like Luton Town. They have played a more quality side. You'll have seen it. Because a guy like Rodri was not there, and John Stones obviously has not been there all season. So I think that's just the problem for me. That midfield combination has just been a worry for Pep Guardiola all season, and I don't think it is the defense.
Let's move forward again. Let's move forward on this City defense. But Pius, I know you watch a lot of Real Madrid games. On Tuesday, Vinicius and Rodrigo, they stepped up their game. Pius.
Yeah, they did. They did step up their game, and maybe in fact the occasion has required that they must step up their game. And I also must give credit to Carlo Ancelotti, the way he shaped that side, because of course City are going to have the ball possession. They are going to possess the ball. They are going to pass the ball around, and they are going to knock you. Whether I like it or not, regardless of whoever is in defense, they're going to knock you around. And he also needed two sharp attackers to keep the defenders at alert. I mean, you cannot have City playing you and then you allow their defenders, because if you allow City, even their goalkeeper will be in your half. That's just the truth. So you need you need attackers who are very sharp and pacey, that also give the City defenders a run for their money. That's what Carlo Ancelotti did. And when we see that when they have the ball, they are as fast and as quick as possible. Unfortunately, Jude Bellingham chose that did not to turn up, because if he had turned up, I thought they will have also had maybe an extra power going forward. But unfortunately, like I said again, he chose that day not to turn up. But the guys up front did a good job, and I was very good. That's how you know players who would rise to the occasion in years to come. Because these days we're probably having conversation of this versus this player versus this players. This is how you know this kind of players, because on big occasions like that, you have to turn up and you have to save your team.
Well, I don't think, just to his point, okay. I don't think Ancelotti actually set up in a way that impressed me. And the reason I say that is because he had two pacey strikers on the right and the left, Vinicius and Rodrigo, which was good, but he was missing a striker. So, after watching that game, nobody in the middle, nobody playing, nobody ready in that box 18 to poach the goals. Some of Madrid goals should not even have come. For instance, like the one Rodrigo and Akanji were running side to side, he outpaced Akanji, we understand, but on another day, that's a defender's ball. You have a goalkeeper and you have a defender and a striker running. Kudos to Rodrigo, but I think playing a striker, I know they had a striker on the bench, the tall, lanky Huselu. I think that would have given them more, because Bellingham wasn't in the game. I know you hope that at some point Bellingham will come into the game, but like I said, he was pegged back, nobody in the box. It was so hard for Vinicius, to connect with anybody. When he gets the better of anybody, he has to go all the way by himself. When Rodrigo gets the better of anybody, they have to go all the way by themselves. There was no support. So that was something I thought Ancelotti could have corrected, like having a striker in the middle that Vinicius can connect with. Like I know when Benzema was there, it would have been a totally different game if they could find a striker in the box.
Yeah, but this is what happened now. I mean, Real Madrid all through the course of the season, this is how they've been playing.
Exactly.
Vini and Rodrigo.
Yeah, my point.
You understand?
My point exactly.
And Joselu just come in maybe 78th minute, 88th minute, if they need that goal or if everything is settled. But again, I want to talk about Jude Bellingham before we go on. Guys, I mean, in the first half of the season, Jude Bellingham was exceptional, was outstanding. The goals were coming. He saved Real Madrid a lot. But of recent, in the last 4-5 matches, I don't know, maybe that's me, or maybe you guys observed that. I mean, I'm not talking about the performance right now. It's been like always want to refereeing the game. Just like Vinicius, always complaining. I mean, is it telling it on him? I mean, is it going down based on, is it being frustrated that his form dipped and showing that to being refereeing game? Because right now, Jude Bellingham, if you observe very well, is not going into, he's not playing. He's always around the referees. He's always complaining. He wants this, he wants that. Just me right now. Whereas the goals are dried up right now. So I want us to have just a little conversation about Jude, because he saved Real Madrid at the first part of the season. But going into this game, the game against Manchester City, it was off. The last 2-3 games as well, it happened like that. He's just been refereeing the game. I want to hear your opinion on that.
Wait, let me jump on that real quick. Jude Bellingham has been fantastic since he was acquired, and I believe he is still. You can have
no doubt about that.
You can have
against England. The game he played
against Brazil,
it was all around the referee. So I don't know. I think he needs to step up. Forget for me, if he can just leave that side away I mean, focus on how we started the first part of the season. I think maybe you don't drink Vinicius water. I don't know, but you guys, I want you to.
My thing is, if a player is performing so well, they draw confidence already. They believe they need to be protected. They believe whatever they say towards the referee should stand. They can influence games. They can influence the official decision. You just have to be a tough official, not to fall for such antics. But Bellingham has not played a top team like Manchester City in the Champions League so
He
far.
played Barcelona in the El Clasico in the first part of the season, and he got 2 goals.
El Clasico when Barcelona has not been the Barcelona of the old days. This is first time playing in a Real Madrid team that is playing Manchester City. You cannot compare it with Vinicius, Rodrigo, and some other guys, Carvajal and Cruz, that has played against Manchester City in the past in the history of this tournament. So I believe I'm not going to discredit what Manchester City players have done in that game to limit his involvement in the game. But a player can get lost in a game of that magnitude, because this is the first time he's facing that opposition in that tournament. So I think that was what tell on him. Let's see how he respond on Wednesday at the Etihad.
Mazi.
Well, I mean, I have a contrary opinion. I don't think Jude Bellingham is a natural goal scorer, right from time. This is somebody that we know his defensive qualities. We know he's a defensive midfielder. We know he's a creative player. He's a creator. But, he stepped up, at the beginning of the season, because Madrid had no striker. Ancelotti found a way for him.
And he was playing at the back of Vini and Rodrigo,
Exactly.
at the heart of, that diamond game.
But I don't expect that should now become his role. He did it for a while. And now that the goals have dried up, Ancelotti should tinker. Ancelotti should find a way to go back to his game, or find a way to open up space for him, or somehow, because naturally that's not who he is. So that's the same. It still boils down to the same point I was making. When you see that Jude Bellingham is struggling in a game, find a way to maybe put in a striker, find a way to shift the team around so that it will help him, rather than expect him to always come up big with goals in all these games, because that is not his responsibility right from time.
Well, Pius, Jude Bellingham, no doubt about that. He's a very good player. He's an exceptional talent, very, very good. But just of recent, like I said, like the last 2-3 matches, it's all about me. When you watch him on the pitch, I mean, when he's playing, he plays good. But if he can just take that out of his game, I think he's going to do better. Pius.
Well, I don't think it is wrong for a player to be selfish. If he wants to score the goals, fine. Because at this point in time, whether I would like it or not, when Real Madrid go into any game, I mean, more than half of the Real Madrid fans expect Jude Bellingham to score, because he has always been their savior, like Grady mentioned in their games this season. I don't also think it is totally wrong to play without a striker, because in recent time we've been seeing that for so many teams. I remember at a point in time, Chelsea had to play Carvajal as the first time for a full season. 2 seasons ago, Manchester City also won the league without a recognized striker. In fact, they had Gabriel at that time, and he was on the bench for most of their games. They were playing like Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez, Raheem Sterling. They were playing 5 players as first time, and they still won the league. So I don't think it's totally wrong for any team to play without a non-striker. Even though they have Joselu, who, like you already mentioned, has not been an integral part of that side. It's just been a fringe player who comes off the bench and another. But for Jude Bellingham himself, he's not right. So we cannot agree he's not Kylian Mbappe, he's not Cristiano Ronaldo, neither is he Messi. So you probably have those games where he would turn off because he's too young, and of course he's just coming to it. I mean, he's facing this for the very first time. He was at Borussia Dortmund, where you probably have little or no pressure. If you are to win the league, you have little or no pressure to win the league. If you win the league, fine. If you don't win the league, it's all good. Just have a good performance. Make sure you're making money for the club, and of course you're giving a good result. You're not finishing below second, third, and of course you're good to go at Borussia Dortmund. But he's playing at Real Madrid, where the expectation is higher than Borussia Dortmund. So this is his first time Bigdemmy rightly mentioned. And I think again, I would not read too many meanings to this particular performances he's been dropping in the last few weeks, simply because he's not there yet. He's still young and he's still growing. So probably we want to cut him some slack and expect him to make such mistakes week in, week out.
All right, let's talk about another player. Let's talk about Haaland. You know, Mazi, a word on Haaland on Tuesday night. You know, I just wanted to let's talk about his.
I mean, yeah, like a lot of people criticize Haaland, you know, in 1 or 2 games that he doesn't show up, you know, and they start making a lot of, should I say, unnecessary comparisons and things like that. We all know Haaland's qualities. We know what he brings to you. If you are able to find him in space, Haaland will deliver, right? So a lot of coaches are they are shutting down those spaces for Haaland. They are dedicating 2 or 3 defenders or dedicating their defenders to Haaland. Haaland, in his qualities, is not one of those players that you expect to drop deep, you know. And you play to your coach's instruction, right? You are not going to, your coach says push up and stay with that defender. You are not going to decide on your own that, hey, I want to drop deep into the midfield, only if that's the agreement you had with your coach. So I think even Pep Guardiola has said it, that number one, if I want to create space for Haaland, I will put more players in the box. Meaning that I will put more players that can distract defenders. Instead of you dedicating 2 defenders to Haaland, if I have an Alvarez or a Foden and I ask him to stay in the box with Haaland, then you have to now dedicate one of those your defenders to the other player that he puts in the box. But Pep doesn't want to play like that sometimes. He wants to crowd the midfield. So he isolates Haaland. And it's very good sometimes for City because Haaland has occupied the attention of some of your best defenders. Your best defenders are focused on Haaland. Other people can play. And if you take your eyes off Haaland, Haaland scores. So I don't see anything. He's stopping the league. He's playing good. A lot of people complain about his play, his touch, and all of that. But that has never been an attribute that he has. His attribute is play the ball into space for me, play it in the box, and I will score the goals. So to me, nothing serious. City can still go all the way. He's still scoring goals. He will still score goals when he gets the chance, and I don't see any big issues.
Bigdemmy, Haaland.
Well,
Do you agree with Mazi?
you know, like you already know, we usually have different perspective about how we compare or what we say of different players or a certain player. So
Right.
my own opinion is this of Haaland. Haaland to me, good guy. He was bought for a reason to score goals, which he has been doing. He delivered in his first season when nobody gave him a chance to do so, because in his first game he got a lot of criticism already in the Community Shield. Yeah, but for a player that scored over 50 goals in his first season in English football,
Right.
in all competition that he played in, I expect him to be like, the conversation has been that, is Haaland a rounded player? Is he a complete player? I understand we all care about the goals, but sometimes in big games, time and time again, Haaland has been, he barely gets a shot on target. Why? That means there's a side of his game that is not working well for him. So I don't think it's wrong for any pundit or any fans or any analyst to come at him and say, you know what, I believe you should give us something different in big games that you know that you are being easily marked out. Forget about if they say, okay, they dedicate a player to mark you out of the game, but do something different. That is when you see the likes of Ronaldo, the like of Messi. You can't tell me that they don't mark all those players. But the same way they are being marked, they still find one way or the other to turn up. Even right here, we've seen interviews. John Obi Mikel said a game against Barcelona, they don't even talk about Barcelona. They talk about Messi in training. How they're going to smack him out. Yet Messi
Not
still
yet.
functions.
Messi did not function against Chelsea for many
It's
games.
not about
For many
scoring.
games,
Messi now is not about scoring, right? In such game, you know that Messi can open up Iniestas, open up players around the box. Like you said, that if Pep wants to push more players forward, that way they get this they mark Haaland and other players do the magic. As a striker, your hold-up players to be good. Your tapping, how you get goals from maybe any cutback chances, tapping, do it well. But if you are playing against top-level defenders, what are your other options?
Pius, would you rather have no touch on target and get 52 goals in the league season, or you?
But we need before you even
Okay.
ask Pius the question,
Okay.
we need to understand that Haaland is the highest goal scorer in England, right?
Okay.
Last season he scored 33 goals.
Right.
This season he's already on 20 plus goals. He had injuries.
20 goals.
20. Yeah, he had injuries before the season started. So 20 goals compared to 32 goals, I don't see much variance, especially when a player has missed certain games through injuries. Fine, we as fans always anticipate that, oh, you must play and score every big game or every this and that. No, sometimes it's even the coaches know that, okay, this game has been difficult for this guy, but let me capitalize on that difficulty. Let me capitalize on what this team has planned for this person. Let me capitalize on it. That's why sometimes I even wonder why Pep Guardiola doesn't take him out. Because obviously you see some games, a team has planned their game around marking out Haaland. Is that not an opportunity for a coach to say, okay, let me remove Haaland and let me put another player, let me play a false nine? No, because Pep Guardiola knows that's you plan your game around Haaland, but let me use that advantage to plan my game around somebody else. So it also comes with its own advantage, right? We are as fans think that, oh, this player must score, he must do this, but Haaland is influencing games. He's dragging defenders out of position. He's running wide while opening spaces for other people to score. So to me, fine. He hasn't scored the same number of goals last season, but it's understandable. After you scored 50 goals, many coaches are going to go back to the drawing board and try to figure you out. Now the onions is left on Pep Guardiola again, the manager, to teach or tell Haaland or to plan another way for Haaland to function. He's playing under a coach. If Haaland goes and plays for another team like Dortmund, you might not spot these issues that he's having in City, because City, City is the team that wants to play the ball on the foot and all that. If he's in a counter-attacking team where the coach plans a game that, okay, this game is going to be counter-attacking, I will use your pace, I will use your strength. Haaland played in Salzburg, right? His numbers are astonishing. He played in Dortmund, numbers are outstanding. So why are we now, because he played 2 or 3 games that he didn't show up, why are we now making it feel like it's such a big deal? To me, it's not a big deal.
Pius, big deal or no big deal?
First off, I think it is not. I don't know the particular language used now, but I think it is unfair to mention Haaland and the likes of Messi and Ronaldo in the same bracket. Why? Because Haaland is a goal poacher.
Bam.
He is not the guy that gives you the all-round play. He doesn't have that flair. He doesn't have that skill. In fact, he does. Is the reason why Manchester City signed him was because they needed to solve the goal-scoring problem. If they needed somebody, so City have 2 strikers right now. They have Haaland. They also have Julian Alvarez. They are 2 different kind of strikers. Why Julian Alvarez can play as a 10, can play as a winger, can play as a striker. Haaland can only play as a number 9.
Specialist.
And that's the reason why they signed him. And that's his primary position. You cannot. Okay, so let's take a look at these 2 players right now. They are already fading out. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Lionel Messi playing for Inter Miami right now can play as a 10, can play as a false 9, can play as a wing, can play all round. Cristiano Ronaldo right now at Al-Nassr can only play as the number 9.
Bam.
Because
Cristiano Ronaldo can play from the wings.
Not now.
Like right now.
I'm saying
Yeah.
Oh, I
now.
thought
I'm
you said
saying now.
okay, go ahead.
Right now at Al-Nassr, he can only play as a number. I mean, we've seen him try to do a couple of dribbles, a couple of free kicks. It's not.
Pius, don't start something that you cannot finish. Oh. At the end, you go ahead.
I'm just using that as an example, because if you take a look at these 2 players, and that's the reason why if you look at their goals, Ronaldo has scored way more goals than Messi, because he's playing as the number 9. He's not a poacher. He's now a striker. Just give me the ball, put it on my head, just give me anywhere, and I'll fire it in the back of the net. That's the job of Cristiano Ronaldo right now, and that's what Haaland was bought for. At Salzburg, at Dortmund, we saw him. He was never involved in all this dribble and all this, and that's the reason why I think it is unfair to start talking about his all-round play when you already know that he's.
You know his qualities, bro. If I could hug you right now, I will hug you.
Bro,
We already know his qualities.
Pius. I know I mentioned the all-round play, to compare Haaland with other two great players. But I believe the question was, okay, why doesn't Haaland show up when he's facing big or tough defenders? So let me hear your input.
No, he doesn't. Don't say he doesn't show up.
He
When
doesn't
faces-
show up.
No,
He has played
hold on.
He has played against William Saliba.
He has scored
Gabriel
against them
this season.
Why you
three times?
No,
No
hold on.
single shot on
You
target.
can't,
Why?
Okay, you can't.
If
Wait,
Saka
let me
have such
explain.
bad
Let me
games
explain.
against little
You
teams
cannot
back to back.
summarize a game based on one game, right? He has
Three
played.
games.
He has played.
Three games.
Hold on. He has played Saliba. He has played them. He has scored. It's not the first time. He has played Arsenal. He has scored. He has played Man U. He has scored. He has played Bayern. He has scored. So how can you make such a claim that Haaland does not score when he plays big defenders? Now, what did Arsenal do to nullify Haaland? That is what you are going to ask. It was not Saliba and Gabriel. Arsenal played a low block. They cut all the spaces in the box. Haaland could not even move. That was a brilliant move by Arteta. So when people are crediting, anybody can play a low block and get away with it. Crystal Palace played a low block today against Liverpool, and Liverpool played from now to tomorrow. If they added 15 more minutes to that game, they won't score. They played Aston Villa played a low block today against Arsenal and beat them 2-0. Low blocks are hard. That's why I say people should respect City. City go into every game and have to face low blocks. Low blocks in the sense.
The same thing goes.
And Haaland has 20 goals.
And Arsenal as
And
well.
he has 20 goals.
It's not only City that teams.
I'm not saying it's
to
only
play
City,
against.
but you can't claim that Haaland has played big team. It's only a handful of games that Haaland has not scored, and we make it into a big deal.
You have to. If you give the numbers, and when you face
I don't
some
think
big
there's
players,
any team in the EPL
and
that
you are
Haaland has
you
not
are
scored
not
against.
doing anything.
I don't think there's any team in the EPL
me-
that
let me
Haaland
give
has
you-
not
let me
scored
give you an
against.
instance.
So a player can also have a dip in form without you extending it to mean that he's not an all-round player, he can't play. You know the guy's qualities. Why are we going so deep? Okay, you can easily say his form is not good right now, or injuries are affecting him, or he's low on confidence. But for you to go and now try to bring down all his achievements,
Nobody's bringing down.
no, that's what I hear.
All right,
online.
guys,
Do you know what Roy Keane said? Roy Keane said he plays like a League Two.
That's
Yeah, but that's what
I want to bring.
That
I want to
Roy
bring
Keane,
two players again, right? Harry Kane was a poacher. Used to be a poacher, right? And a coach transformed him into another kind of player, Jose Mourinho. Drop deep, receive the ball, create chances yourself, and all that. He's been doing that
because he
excellently well.
had that
Now,
quality
hold on,
in him.
hold on.
See, when I've listened to
the second one before I forget, Mazi,
Okay.
wait. Thierry Henry, at a point in time, opposing fan started saying Igwe doesn't score away from home. When he gets to Ivory, he turns up. When he goes to teams like Manchester United, Liverpool, big teams against Henry, he doesn't show up. So when you bring in the numbers, people are going to find one of your weaknesses, and they'll talk about it.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Don't tell
let
us
me ask you a question.
we are not
Okay, let me ask you a
supposed to
question.
ask that question.
Let me ask you a question. Has Henry scored 32 goals in one season before with his all-round play? No.
Because he has been shifted around.
That's what I'm saying.
Left wing,
You can
play
either
right
be,
wing,
you can
play,
hold on.
center striker.
Well, let me answer your question. You can either be a jack of all trades, or you can be a specialist.
You can be playing. I mean, you can be good at
everything, but not
good.
great at anything.
You can have the ability to do everything, but not good at all of it.
Exactly. Hold on.
In a
But
season,
the
during
question
Henry's
is-
days, he has scored 30 goals.
But the question is,
EPL goals.
but the question is this: I've heard a lot of coaches, do their analysis on how they buy players, right? You analyze a player's qualities, you analyze your team and what you need. Pius made a good point. The reason they bought Haaland to City is not to come and create anything and do any all-round. They have all-round everywhere.
Just to get the job done.
Just get the job done. They have Foden, they have
All right,
going
guys.
in, they have.
Let's move on. This is Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and I have my guys right here, the Soccer Arena Indy Group, Soccer Arena Indy Crew right here, in Mazi and Bigdemmy. Follow Soccer Arena Indy on Instagram. There's a lot of content there as well. Follow Soccer Arena Indy. Follow Mazi on Instagram as well, and follow Bigdemmy on Instagram. Guys, percentage chance of Manchester City and Real Madrid. Let's share it. Let me start from Bigdemmy. What's the outcome percentage chances right now? Let's take that.
Well, percentage straight away.
Yeah.
It's still open. It's still an open game, 50-50. And if I want to give someone an edge, I will still tip Real Madrid, because they have the experience. They can turn up when you don't expect them to turn up, and they can grind out wins anywhere they go. That's it. That's why they are called Real Madrid with 14 UCL titles.
Mazi, percentage chance.
70-30.
70-30.
Yes, 70-30. City at home is a
Etihad,
fortress.
and they've not.
Is a fortress.
Madrid have never.
Bro, Arteta said, if you are not ready to chase 40 passes, you are not ready to play City. They will. Now the question is, what's your defensive quality? It's not about your strikers or whether you can. City are ready to play 6-4. We've seen it with Real Madrid before. They're ready to play 7-5. Are you ready to chase 30 passes? So it's 70-30 at the Etihad.
Pius, Real Madrid and Carlo Ancelotti, they know that they are not going to, they can't have the ball, when they are playing against City. City will have the whole of the ball. It's not skyrocketing. There's no magic right there. We all know what is going to happen, and we know what Carlo Ancelotti is going to do. It's just this fast attacking and transition game in transition, sit deep and get, City at the edge. What's your percentage chance right here, Pius?
Well, I think I would slightly give it to Manchester City, 60-40. I would give Real Madrid as much as 40 because of their pedigree in Europe and else. Because if the first leg is anything to go by, I think City would easily knock them out. But because of their pedigree in Europe and the fact that this is the Champions League, where sometimes form actually do not matter. It depends on your mentality and the pedigree. So that's why I'll give them as much as 40 at the Etihad. But I think City, like I mentioned earlier, they still do have that advantage. Real Madrid had theirs in the first leg. Fortunately, they were able to capitalize. But I think it's advantage City right now. The momentum is high. They can smell 3 trophies already. And so, when it gets to this particular stage for Manchester City, you can never rule them out. So 60-40 to Man City.
All right, guys. This is Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and then I want to say a very big thank you to those that joined in our prediction game during the week in Champions League. We'll be rolling out another prediction. We only have one winner, for the last week prediction, and we'll be giving him his, we'll be posting the link. What he won and the name of. You're watching Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and I still remain your favorite podcaster, Olanrewaju Abodrin. I've been having fun with my guys on this episode, and it's been a lot of fun. Pius is also on the line. Guys, let's go straight to the next game. The game that happened on Tuesday as well. That's the second game. That's between Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Going into this game, there's been a lot of talks. There's been a lot of, gist about the two teams. One side being useless all through the course of the season, and another side being very, very dominant and, playing sugarcaneous football. Arsenal and the Arsenal fans, going into this game, the confidence were there. 70% of Arsenal fans thought they were going to get something against Bayern Munich. But again, it ended Arsenal 2, Bayern Munich 2. Let me start with the Arsenal man in the studio. Arsenal man, what's up, Bigdemmy?
Yes. So, as an Arsenal fan, flying on confidence, flying high, result-wise, team has not been conceding goals all through the second half of the season. We've been scoring goals like for fun. So, and I've been seeing the way Bayern Munich has been playing in their league. They've been conceding goals against teams that are not even up to standard of, like, maybe say Brentford in England. That is where I draw my own confidence from. So I will tell you, before the game, I said Arsenal is going to dispatch Bayern Munich. I predicted a 2-0 or 3-0 against Munich because of a certain reason. We've been scoring goals for fun, and our defensive units, we've kept it solid. So fine, Harry Kane factor, he will be there. Harry Kane can score goals when he's not even playing well. A penalty kick can come in and he will score. But at the same time, looking at the Arsenal defense, there have not been so many mistakes, and another reason for me to draw confidence. And like you guys says, league matches is different from UEFA matches, right? UEFA Champions League. But to me, I really didn't get baffled about that, but because of the reason that I cited earlier. Well, on the match day, we pulled the trigger first through our sloppy mistakes from the defensive pair. Saliba and Gabriel cost us our maximum, maybe I would say 3 points because there's no goal advantage anymore. So that was why we couldn't win that game. But I don't know. On the day of the game, we didn't turn up like we've been turning up in the second half of the season, and you can't allow Bayern Munich into a game. They had their moment. They took it. They went ahead 2-1 due to our sloppy display in the defensive line. So that was the reason why they had hope of even winning the game. I mean, Bayern Munich.
Right.
And I still think, we now know what to expect when we go away from home. And I believe some mistakes that were done in that first game will be fixed in the second game.
Pius, it's all to play for, in Germany. On Tuesday, we saw the Emirates was full of Arsenal fans. There were no Bayern Munich fan on the pitch, It's all to play for. And again, as a Thomas Tuchel guy, which I've known you for, where did this performance come from? We've seen Bayern all through the course of the season. They've been very, very useless, But on Tuesday against Arsenal, they proved the doubters so wrong. What happened? Where does this performance comes from? For where they see him?
Well, I mean, just like I mentioned when I was talking about the Real Madrid Manchester City, you can't take away. Sometimes in competitions like this, especially UEFA Champions League, especially at this particular stage and this level, form does not matter. I think in most cases, the team with a better pedigree or the team that wants it more would eventually, get it, or probably the team that has players with higher pedigree and of course a higher grade. And I think that was what came to play for Bayern Munich, knowing fully well that they probably had lost the Bundesliga to Bayer Leverkusen. This is probably the only trophy that Tuchel can also use, to save face, more like. And going into the game, of course, Bayern Munich have the better pedigree. Before that particular game, Arsenal already considered 4 goals this year. But I mean, in 2 games right now, they've considered the same number of goals, 4. I think it's a worry for it should be a worry for Arteta and Arsenal fans. Going to the second leg, it is no longer in their hands. I think they had a chance at the Emirates, blew it. In fact, Bayern Munich could have even gotten the win on that day. You remember towards the end of the game, they hit the woodwork and they were unfortunate not to have gotten the win in that particular encounter. I think for the second leg, it will be a very difficult game. Arsenal are really on a really tiny rope, and I really don't even know how they're going to maneuver a win right there at the Allianz Arena. It's going to be a difficult game for us now, to be honest with you. I thought they were supposed to have gotten, remember when we spoke last week, I told you, I said, I'm giving it to Arsenal. The first leg, I gave it to Arsenal in the first leg because I felt like, okay, they were going to play against a dilapidated Bayern side. They're going to play against a side that probably has no manager, because as far as I'm concerned, Thomas Tuchel is already gone. I think they were even going to play. They were going to show the class and character they've been possessing all season. But on the day, football taught me on that lesson that sometimes it is not about form. It is about your character and your pedigree in competitions like this. And that's why going to the second leg, I think it is. In fact, at this point in time, the confidence, the morale, everything, I don't think it is on Arsenal favor, because if a team is as good as the last game, you probably say Bayern Munich as good as the last game, they won their last game. Arsenal just lost their last game. So in terms of confidence, in terms of morale, in terms of form, in terms of pedigree, in terms of ability, all-round play, I think it would be unthinkable to see Arsenal progress through.
Mazi, why didn't Bayern Munich, why didn't they do this in the league for Tuchel,
So, I mean, Thomas Tuchel, I would say we started seeing the signs from even last season. Dortmund had to bottle the league for Bayern Munich to advance. Thomas Tuchel took over Bayern, and immediately in a few weeks they got knocked out of all competitions, leaving them with only the Bundesliga, which they almost lost. So coming into this season, people were really interested to see, this is his full season. Let's see what he would do. He got Hurricane, which is a big acquisition. A lot of people now would say the Hurricane course, has the Hurricane course has
Hurricane don't carry costs from Tottenham. Go Bayern
go
now.
Bayern,
Because,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So, taking nothing away from Bayern Leverkusen, Alonso has done fantastic.
Yep.
They literally just rounded up the league.
They are the
today.
champions
They are
now.
the champions. Taking nothing away from them, I think Bayern Munich has been second best. But when you look at the Champions League, Pius rightly said, the Champions League is a competition where some teams have pride. Some teams want to go. They want to go out there, even when they are doing badly in the league. They want to go and play for the badge because of what the club, what it means to the club, the history, the pedigree, how the club has fed in the Champions League. They want to follow in its footsteps. So when you think of things like that, you know that Bayern is not going to go out without a fight in the Champions League. In the league, they might go out without a fight.
Right.
They've won the league so many times consecutively. They've right now
They're champions for over 11, 12 years.
Yeah. So that is one trophy Bayern can win, and it can almost automatically wipe out all the sins that they've committed all because of the season. So
Right.
they are going to do everything, but some things are not in their favor. Like they have a lot of injuries. I just got to know that even Coman is probably out of the fixture against Arsenal, which plays in Arsenal's favor. But player for player, Bayern is better. If you want to go pound for pound, player for player. So if those players bring their A game in the Allianz Arena, the history in that stadium, the expectation, when you walk into a stadium like that, you know the demands, you know what your fans demand from you. If those players can play to that demand, I don't see Arsenal, surviving that fixture. Arsenal is out. The only thing that might work for Arsenal in this is if they can, just stay in the game. For as long as possible, stay in the game. Don't start dreaming of 4-0, 3-0. Stay in the game because that it's going to be it's going to be a tight game. They have to stay focused. And no disrespect to Arsenal. Arsenal has not proven to anybody that they can finish what they started. When you start something, it's so good. Prove to us that you can finish it. Once you can prove that, next season everybody will give you the respect that you deserve. So if Arsenal cannot finish what they started in England, which I think it was a very poor result for Arsenal, given the fact that they played against City, they came out with a good result at the Etihad, they were scoring goals left, right, and center. People were expecting that Bayern was going to be easy fry.
Right.
Yeah, because Bayern defensively they've been poor. Alonso, what's his name? The Canadian player, Alphonso Davies, he has been really poor. The defense, but Arsenal did not capitalize on that, and that's a surprise. And they might regret it.
Bigdemmy, it's been 3 games in a row in Champions League that Arsenal have been very, very substandard. Let's go back to the Porto game, home and away. Arsenal standard dropped, but they scaled through.
They barely made it.
They scaled through. Now against Bayern, it also happens. So how can this be fixed? And coupled with the fact that they lost during the weekend as well. Going into Bayern, going into Allianz Arena, how can they fix this?
Well, Allianz Arena is going to be a tough game for Arsenal. We expected us to go to Allianz Arena with some positivity, maybe get a result from our home, Emirates Stadium, and go there and stay in the game, like Mazi said, and maybe shut them out or nick a goal in and, block everywhere. But right now, having lost to Aston Villa at home, in today's game, and you have a trip to Allianz Arena. I don't know how the players is going to react, and I also want to touch base on something, the reverse fixtures against Bayern Munich at the Emirates Stadium. We started the game well on the front foot. We pegged Bayern back, which was expected, but just that one mistake. The moment we made that mistake, they came back 1-1. You can see that the tension started.
So that's going to lead me to my next question. Why do we see a different Arsenal in the Champions League than the one we'll be seeing in the league.
Well, Champions League night is a whole different ball game. Like you said, regardless of your EPL or your league form, when you go out there in Europe and you are playing against teams that have won the UCL,
Right.
you know, you accord them a little bit of respect. We fans might be saying, "Oh no, we are going to win, we are going to turn up." The players themselves, they know. Even the coach, they know. You know, like I believe we gave Bayern Munich
That
a lot of respect. Like the players, the moment we consider that goal at the Emirates, you can see all over their faces. Players that you hardly see making
That it's
mistakes,
about
they started
to
making
go
mistakes.
down.
Even Thomas Partey came on board. He made some kind of nonsense passes. You know, passes that you know that Partey just pass like 10 feet away from you, misplaced passes. You know, but your question. Going to Allianz Arena, I know that for sure one of our mistakes that we made was starting Kivior. He's been having a very fantastic season since he's been deputizing for Zinchenko and Otomiyasu. But against Bayern Munich at the Emirates, when you are facing a pacey player like
He really had a nightmare with Leroy
one-on-one with Leroy Sané,
Yeah,
you know,
Leroy Sané
it's just
is-
like you have a Rolls Royce. And
It's a mismatch. It was a really
you are driving a Rolls Royce, and I brought a Beetle to the race. You know, I can't even be in contention at all. So one mistake has been addressed, which I believe going into the game is either we start Tomiyasu or we just start Zinchenko. But for me right now, if Sane got injured, Gnabry got injured, they were taken out. I checked their team sheets from yesterday.
Could it be some tactics? I mean, some mind games taking them out. We can't be 100% sure that
during
they'll be
the
out,
during the game
Right.
during the game at the Emirates Stadium they
They
had
went out.
knock, and these are players that were just coming back. I believe they were rushed back to the game. They were rushed back. You know, I believe if they had like maybe they wanted, I believe they wanted the result. That was why they actually came with Sane and Gnabry. To me, I don't know what the coach was thinking. He should have just maybe played what you have, and maybe in the return leg unleash those guys on us.
Pius, if you are Arteta right now, you know, how concerned would you be going into Allianz Arena?
Very concerned, very concerned, Larry. I think it's a worry for me because all season, especially Arsenal fans, have been screaming about mentality. Now the mentality is back. I think now is the time to show that you have that mentality. Now is the time to show that you can contend against the boys, because towards the end of the season, you have too many matches, and then those matches are very important. In fact, some persons will call them finals. You have some teams playing as much as 9 finals, some playing as much as 8 finals, some 7 finals, depending on the league you are playing, and of course, number of matches left for you. And I think this in recent times, these are the areas where Arsenal have shown us that they tend to capitulate. Last season, towards the end of the season, when we were saying they have about 11 finals, 10 finals to go, they showed that they cannot be relied on. This season they started again, 2 games now back to back. I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the team with the tightest defense, and then you were mentioning Arsenal.
Right.
I told you
I remember, yeah. I gave them that flowers. I said, let me rephrase it now again. I said, Saliba and Gabriel are one of the best defenders in Europe.
And I remember telling you then that I will put a Leverkusen ahead of them. And I mean, in 2 games they considered was already after I made that statement. But then let's going into the second leg at the Allianz Arena. I think if I were Mikel Arteta right now, I think I'll be working on the mentality of the boys, because that's the most important thing. Some of these players will tell you that football actually starts from their head, not even when they enter the field. It is the mentality from the pitch. And this season, I think I've seen something similar to what Pep Guardiola did with Manchester City from Mikel Arteta, trying to talk to the boys in dressing room and every other thing. But he has to do more of that going into the game at the Allianz, because I think the mentality for me is not the aura. It's not really looking nice. Against Aston Villa, when they considered the first goal, yes, they tried to get the equalizer, but they also opened up their defense, and they considered the second goal in less than 3 minutes. So I think the mentality has to be worked upon going to the Allianz Arena, even though I think they stand little or no chance in that particular stadium. But of course, if they have to get anything from that game, they have to talk to themselves, of course, work on the mentality. That the mentality is for me, because Arsenal play very good football. You can't take that away from them. If it's about the football, they know how to play the football. They sabi football. But I think the mentality is the most important thing going to that game, and not about their formation or whatever. Because we've seen Mikel Arteta with different formations this season that has actually worked. So what is lacking? You have mentality going to big games like this has to be it for me.
I want us to move on this Arsenal and let's talk about other leagues. But before we do that, do we have anyone who have any issue with the Saka penalty claim? There's this last minute penalty claim for Saka. Do you have anyone who have any issue with that?
No, for me, I think it was.
It's not a penalty?
It was a penalty. No, sorry, it's not a penalty.
Okay.
Just the way I interpret the game, I think Saka overhit the ball and he started diving. Before it was not the kick that initiated the fall. The fall had already started before the kick, so that leaves the referee to think that you were looking for it. I'm not disputing the fact that there wasn't contact, but was that contact responsible for your fall? The answer is no. Saka was diving, and Neuer stretched his leg, and there was contact, but he was not. Yeah, his leg was not on the floor in the first place. It was already on the floor. So I think the referee got it right. It was a penalty that he orchestrated. He was looking for it.
Bigdemmy, penalty or no penalty?
Well, real time, to me, I was mad at Saka. You have no right. You don't have to go look for penalty in that situation, because the penalty two things could have happened. One thing was nick the ball straight to the net. It's either it goes out or it goes in. One. The second thing that could have happened is that natural penalty kick could have happened, because if you had maybe just want to go direct or try to round the goalkeeper or rushing goalkeeper, Noah could have committed in. Then we could have won the penalty. To me, it wasn't the penalty. It was the right call from the referee.
Pius?
Brilliant.
Do you have any otherwise?
That was an experienced goalkeeper versus an inexperienced player. It was not a penalty.
Percentage chance of Arsenal-Bayern Munich next, the second leg.
I mean, just judging by Arsenal's recent history in knockout games, in the Champions League, in finals, even if it's the league, but like the last 5 games, last 7 games, the mentality of the team, I think fear is a big factor. They're not confident that they
right
can.
Now.
Right now. When you look at your history and you've never done it before, it takes someone special. It takes somebody special. I know Mikel Arteta has done fantastic, and he must have had a lot of people come and work with the team to kind of erase that mentality, done a lot of things. But just judging by the mentality and the fact that Arsenal has not showed me that they can actually do it at the big stage, in difficult places, in hostile terrains, I think they don't have a chance against Bayern. I'll still stick with my 70-30 Bayern going.
70-30. I will take Bigdemmy last. I will take your percentage chance last. Pius, what's your percentage chance right here?
My percentage chance for that particular game at the Allianz Arena will be 80-20.
In favor of Arsenal, right? Arsenal get the 80, right?
Well,
they play.
I wish. I wish. Because at the Emirates, where Bayern didn't even have their fans, they managed to put that particular performance in draw. And Arsenal will be going to the Allianz Arena, where the Germans would be all over the place. I think I will give it 80-20 to Bayern.
And Bigdemmy.
Well, I like to go into these fixtures now as underdogs. It's going to be a tough one.
Football can humble person,
it can. Football can humble anybody.
Last week they were going as
yes. Now
they were going as the main guy.
Hold on. We all have different opinion why we did some stuff, right? So don't let us get into that conversation right now. Just let me give you one instance, and I want to disagree with you saying based on history, based on this and that. Arsenal needed a victory against Juventus during our run to 2006 finals, right? We went to the what was the
Knock out
stadium?
Juventus.
We knocked them out. We
and
won
in
2-0
Turin,
away from home in Turin.
Also in Madrid.
In Madrid,
You know.
a round of 16, 1-0 against the Galacticos. We went to Villarreal.
They almost knocked you out in that game.
But we advanced. It wasn't even based on penalty. We won our home 1-0.
So now you're saying
0-0.
Arsenal have that
So
experience.
let me
They
tell you
lost the last
something.
minute penalty, I guess.
They lost a last minute penalty. So the mentality was there at that point. But right now, I know, okay, Arteta is trying to fix some stuff and all that. We've been talking about mentality. I wouldn't give Arsenal 50-50 right now because, this is Bayern Munich. They are going to their home. We had our chance to...
A wounded Bayern Munich, which, Bayern Leverkusen, they are hungry right now. They vest. They are in the firing mode because Bayern Leverkusen just celebrated.
On the night, it depends on the availability of the players that are available for Bayern. But let me give us a 40 and I give Bayern a 60.
This is Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and I've been chilling with my guys right here. And guys, let's just move to the game on Wednesday that happened. We're just going to be previewing the games on Wednesday as well. I'll be starting with the PSG Barcelona, which ended in the favor of the Catalan. It ends in 3-2. Barcelona getting the victory against the Parisian club. Going into this game, my eyes don't see well, from my co-host, every time they rub out for my face, but I really I don't know. Let me start with him. Pius, going into this game, there's been a lot of conversation. Is it that it's not a good night for PSG, or Barcelona just they just shut up the haters?
Honestly, I thought you would have started this podcast on that particular note, but
we don't have pride. That's the point. We are not selfish. You understand? We give the fans what they want to. What they want to know, what they want to hear. You understand? We are not selfish on this podcast, and we don't have pride. Okay, so go ahead. If you want to talk to me, Pius, talk to me direct.
The first leg actually played out the way a lot of us expected it to, even though the result didn't go our way. Because I thought PSG were all over Barca. They created a lot of chances, but maybe in the final third, they were really, really lacking. Kylian Mbappe also chose a day not to show up. He had no shot on goal. It was quite unfortunate. And I think there is something really, really not gelling with that front side of PSG. Because for every time they have the ball, they look like they are this... powerhouse coming at you, but when they get to your 18, they tend to capitulate. And I must also give credit to the defensive pairing of Xavi on that day. I thought Pau Kubasi was very, very fantastic. Not up until it was taken out on point.
Pau Beckenbauer Kubasi, okay? Because they've been hiding Beckenbauer right now, okay? So, but if you want you can correct yourself. I forgive you now. Go ahead, Pius.
I actually will not throw that line because that was the same way you guys started adding Ansu Fati. I will know where he is today. So let's just probably leave it at that. But I think they actually were able to contain PSG. For every time PSG got something, Barca had something else to counter them. And Rafinha chose a day to show up. I think it was an all-round play for Barca. Knowing fully well that they also know that they are probably believing that at the end of the season. So maybe this will probably be something to send him for. But it was a good game. I think Xavi also read the game better than Luis Enrique. I thought the decision to start Milan Skriniar from the bench was a poor decision and a bad one for me, because the defensive pairing was not it at all. I thought Milan Skriniar had Champions League experience. When I saw the lineup and I saw him on the bench, I was surprised. And I thought, okay, maybe it is something different from Luis Enrique. But, I mean, the guys who started up front for Barca, the Rafinha, Lewandowski, and other guys did a good job on the defense. And, of course, they were all over the place. So I must give credit to Xavi and the boys. But, of course, Luis Enrique must also correct his mistakes. And maybe I hope that it doesn't repeat itself in the second leg.
Mazi, coming from the disgrace against Villarreal some couple of weeks back, let's say a couple of months right now, because Barcelona were disgraced against Villarreal. Then it led to Xavi coming to the press that he will be leaving. Then It led to Lewandowski, organizing a barbecue for the players. And after that, Barcelona have been going to games and getting results.
Yeah.
Where is this magic coming from?
So I remember when looking at those games, when I analyzed the games myself, it wasn't like Barca was playing badly, right? Like a lot of people would say it because the results it wasn't coming. Like when you go to the likes of Atletico Bilbao, if you look at the way they've been playing, that team is a team that has been playing fantastic football, right? We go to their home, very hostile ground. We dragged the game into extra time, all of that. But that story for another day. I think what Xavi did by announcing that he's leaving the club is to remove the distractions. Right?
And now everyone wants him to stay.
Everybody, he wants everybody to focus on the football. Okay, I will leave. If the problem is Xavi, everybody's talking about me, my style. Okay, I'm going to leave. Let's get that out of the way. Let's focus on playing football. So I think he noticed that maybe in the dressing room, maybe some people were in support of his leaving. Some people were talking about should he stay. So let's remove that. I'm going to leave. That topic is out of the way. Let's play. And I think it has helped the team. Everybody now knows that, okay, the manager, there's no ego, there's no pride. He's not playing, he's not trying to enforce anything on us. He's going to leave. So this is all about football. And it has paid dividends. The likes of Lewandowski, a leader in the team, right?
Lewandowski stepping up, Gudogan,
stepping up, Gudogan,
and the younger ones too,
Exactly. So, and I must commend Xavi for taking. Not every coach will depend on inexperienced player in time of trouble, right? It takes courage. You can always go back to your experienced players and try to, get them into, bring their form back because you know what they can do. But when you depend on people that, you're sinking already. And now you are going to get a Paulo Kubasi. You're going to depend on a Yamin Lamal. You're trying to depend on, on players like that. It's very risky, but it has paid off. They've brought extra energy to the team. Kubasi has been playing great defensively. The Napoli game, he was man of the match. Arguably, the PSG game, in collaboration with Koundé and Araujo, they shut down Mbappe. He has gotten so much accolades. So, defensively, Barca has been sound. That has been the foundation of our resurrection right now. Yes. So Lewandowski hasn't been fantastic, but he's been popping up when we need him. When I say fantastic, it's not the Lewandowski of Bayern, right? But he has been popping up with big goals. He has been doing his thing. Rafinha seems to be. Ever since they said they wanted to sell him to Saudi Arabia for 100 million. It looks like that has been the trigger.
Yeah,
They
sold. I heard someone even said they sold his. He lost his passport to Saudi Arabia. When they said that news, and now he got the passport back and he's been playing good.
He's been playing good. So maybe he doesn't want. He doesn't want
his Brazilian passport.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
so now he's got his passport back.
Maybe he doesn't want to end up in Saudi Arabia. Maybe he wants the club to reconsider. He still has years to play in Europe, but he has resurrected. Pedri. Barring injuries, Pedri has always been a good player. We would like to see Gavi come back. But, the young team is looking good for us. And Barcelona has a 50% chance of getting to the final. I know we are playing Atletico. If we go through PSG, we might be playing Atletico or Dortmund. And I fancy Barcelona in games like that. Like, we have a chance of winning a game like that in 2 legs. So, this season is. Barca fans, don't go and start giving yourself
you should not throw
false hope.
We should not go and buy cow now.
Don't buy cows.
Okay.
Take it easy.
One game at a time.
One game at a time, but it's looking good.
Bigdemmy, who would have thought Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, and all these stars, will not get a goal, especially Kylian Mbappe in this kind of game, facing Pau Kubasi. We talked about not only Pau Kubasi, because credit must be given to Koundé and Araujo. The defense line was exceptional that night. What happened to Mbappe? I think this is just one of game.
Well,
That's what happened to Osimhen.
the Barcelona defense line did exceptionally well. I as a
he didn't have a terrible game. It's just that
I'm
you
going
know.
there. You know, I as a neutral, if I was going to pick between the two teams, I would have expected or picked PSG ahead of Barcelona. The reason being that maybe in the past I wouldn't say PSG
Right.
because we know who PSG is. They are like the Tottenham Hotspur in UCL when they are in Europe. You know.
Don't leave me.
You know, so no, so now the game I was expecting. PSG they have attackers like Mbappe,
Dembele,
Colomani,
Gonzalo
Dembele,
Ramos.
you know, Ramos and all that. You know, I was thinking it would be a walkover at at their stadium.
Park the Prince.
Yeah, Park the Princes. But you know,
Man, no be God now.
Barcelona just turned up, and I couldn't even see anything. Like on that day, I was like, really? Why would Barcelona, that has
Barcelona.
been hot and cold all
Yeah,
season long
right.
just pull a shocking victory away from home? So, but all hope is not lost for PSG because what Barcelona can do away from home,
PSG
I believe PSG too can. They have the arsenals to do the same thing away from home. So it's a game of who scores more, who scores the most in the return leg. So it's an open game still for me.
What do you think about Dembele celebrating a goal against Barcelona?
Well, there's been a lot of talks around that Dembele's celebration, and again, some fans also they make an argument that we've seen a lot of players that go to their home to their former team and celebrate like that. That we shouldn't just get Barcelona fans shouldn't just get that reaction towards Dembele. But again, this is Barcelona that they bought you for a very expensive amount of money. They treated you well, even when he was on injury. We had these jerseys for Barcelona, which we support. They said supporting
Dembele,
Dembele, all these.
Day.
There was a time which the fans were booing Dembele. He revived himself back by the fans applauding him again. There was a time whereby no one believed in Dembele, but only Xavi believed in Dembele. And to bring up that performance, I think where a lot of fire. I just hope it's not going to end up with Luis Figo's return to Barcelona then with his return leg. But guys, Pius, let me just give you this. After the game on Wednesday, Xavi came to the press conference. He said PSG are favourites to go to the next round.
Mind games.
Is that Catalan mind games or what? Waiting Xavi, is he smoking something or what do you think?
Well, while a lot of persons might see it as mind games, I think it's not far from the truth. Okay. Because, again, I thought a lot of persons were shocked that Barca won the first leg. And if you are shocked that Barca won the first leg...
A lot of persons were shocked, including you yourself, right? I like that. You'll just finish that word. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier that...
Okay. I'm just making it just on record purpose. Go ahead.
I know you won the first leg, and I also expect that after the second leg, I probably think you are reserving all of the talk after the second leg, but we will see. But back to what Xavi said.
But now, wait, Pius. I want you still go back to what Xavi said. But again, Barcelona fans, all over the world, no one expected Barcelona to even get to, cross to that semi-final. Barcelona they are adding up money right now. Even if they get to semi-final, now just to add the money to what they grant, we don't do. We are okay. Okay? If anything happened aside from qualifying to the semi-final, now bonus. Go ahead with your point.
If you had been knocked out in the quarterfinal, it would have also been a good season for you by your standard, by your current standard.
By current standard, okay. That we are broke. You can go ahead and say because we are broke. That money we had up to what we have. Just finish. Pius, I like the fact that when you talk about Barcelona, you tend to give it you tend to pour more water and drop more hot shots. Go ahead.
No, I don't think I'm saying anything that is short of truth because in the last 2 seasons, where you have dropped out in the same competition, and if you have gotten as far as the quarterfinals in the same competition, by that standard, you have done well. You'll have had a good season.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear.
But being in this stage is even overstretching your team. It's even you have overachieved at this time.
I will impose as falling.
So I think if you now knock out PSG, and get straight to the semi-finals, I think it would have been a fantastic. I think you should just build a statue of of all the players in front of your stadium, because they would have done the unthinkable.
I want to disagree with you in some areas, right? Like sometimes we have to understand that when these coaches come out to speak to journalists, they are not speaking to their players. They would have already told their players in the dressing room facts. When they come out to the journalists, they are trying to prevent headlines. They are trying to prevent things going viral and things like that.
So typically this is mind game from Xavi.
Yeah,
right?
it's
okay.
Yeah. After the first leg, Barcelona is favorite to go through. PSG is not a team that even at the peak of PSG and when Barcelona were towards the tail end of the old Suarez, and even when they win us at Parc des Princes, they still fall at
the remontada right there,
Yeah, exactly. The remontada, they fall. So PSG coming to the new camp, they know that.
But again, Mazi, this is not Camp Nou again. This is Montjuic, and we've been having issues with this. Montjuic, the stadium, the fans have not been coming. Can Barcelona do it at the Montjuic?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, all Barcelona needs to do in that game is don't lose. Any other result is good for you. Don't lose. So I think that's an easier task than when it's like a draw away and then you have to come and win.
So right now they are the right edge. They are the front edge right now going to the next round.
Yes. So I see that, but again, Xavi is not going to want to. First of all, he doesn't want his players to read in the press that you guys are favorites. He doesn't want any kind of
pressure to come.
Lots of concentration and things. So it's better they still treat them like Demi said. I would like to be treated as an underdog, so that those players will still have that fight, the same fight that took them to France, because everybody was writing about them that they are going to lose and this and that. That fight that took them to France, I'm thinking he wants them to have that same bite when they come to the new camp, almost like they are losing the first leg. Come and fight for the second leg like that. So I would disagree with the fact that when you said that's not far from the truth. I think it's very far from the truth.
All right, Bigdemmy. Percentage chance right here. PSG Barcelona.
Well, we know PSG, the current PSG versus the current Barcelona. I will give it PSG 55, Barcelona 45.
Wow. Pius.
Well, if Barca can go to the Parc des Princes and get the win, PSG can also return the favor. The reason why, and I'll say this again, the reason why Barca got that win at the Parc des Princes was because the front three of PSG were not connecting.
And Luis Enrique also made this. He also made this tweak. A blunder which he corrected in the second half. By starting Asensio at the first time. That has never happened. Has never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could tell from the way they operated. I thought, from the second 45 minutes of the first leg, you saw that PSG came out all guns blazing.
When Bracola came in, yeah.
When Bracola came in,
right.
And if that was the approach in the first half, Barca would probably have been down in 30 minutes, maybe by 2-0. So I think it's 50-50, even though Barca the edge, because they won the first leg, but I still think it is 50-50, because if you're talking about player for player, I probably think PSG will edge Barca. If you're talking about manager for manager, of course. If you're talking about manager for manager, PSG will also see edge Barca. But the difference will just be the venue where the game is going to be taking place, the second leg. So, but for the second leg, I still think it is 50-50. It is still open.
Mazi.
Well, other than the Kylian Mbappe factor, I don't agree that player for player PSG is better than Barcelona. Like how?
We'll leave the argument for another day.
We are talking of we are talking of having a Gundo. You are talking of having a Gundo that has won a Champions League. You're talking of having a Lewandowski.
more Champions League than the entire Barca squad, though.
But Asensio, we are just hearing that Asensio is playing his first game starting his first game for PSG. So is it the same Asensio that has more Champions?
Starting as
We are
a
talking
first
about a Gundo that is still playing, is still in form. He was the captain of Man City that won. Or you're talking of a Lewandowski that has been playing, is still playing. Or are you talking how? Where are the players?
Let's leave that argument. I think we have another podcast for that player for pound. Pius, let's get Mazi's percentage chance. Guys, I'm sorry, I have to.
Or are you talking about our keeper?
Let's get the percentage chance and let's move on.
My percentage chance.
I don't think Barca. I don't even think Barca has anybody in the mood of being screener at the
Pius, let's move on. We have another podcast on this. Thank you, Pius. Thank you, Mazi. Let's get your percentage chance, please. Because Pius will not want to leave here.
My percentage chance would be, I would go for 60-40. Barcelona having the edge over PSG. Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's talk about the last game of the Champions League, and we end the podcast with this. It ended Atletico Madrid 2, Borussia Dortmund 1. You know. The return leg is going to be at the Signal Iduna Park in Germany. And then Diego Simeone's side, they got the victory. But again, courtesy of Antoine Griezmann wonders. What should we be expecting in the second leg? Pius, what should we be expecting in the second leg, please?
I think we should be expecting something different from the first leg. Because if you take a look at the way Dortmund played towards the end of the first half, in fact, for the better part of the second 45 minutes, they were the better side. When they made those changes, brought in Sebastian Haller and a couple of guys that changed the game for them, they almost going to get 2 goals in that game. But for the publicacy in front of goal, they probably were unable to do that. I think the second leg will be different. In the first half, Dortmund sat back, allowed Atletico overload them. In fact, the guys from Atletico were all over Dortmund in the first half of that game. Right. And I thought Diego Simeone knew what he was doing, playing a 3-5-2 formation. Of course, that's how he has always been. But that was a difficult formation for Dortmund to cope with in the first half. Then the personnel changed in the second 45 minutes, and then the game turned. The game turned, and Dortmund had the opportunity. They scored the first goal, wanted to go for the second. They had a couple of opportunities. They were unable to. In fact, towards the end of the game, they had a few chances that could have been it for them, but they were unable to take it. I think if they start the second leg the way they ended the first leg, Atletico de Madrid might have to do a lot of defending. And of course, if you want to give it to defending, you probably have to look at Atletico de Madrid in that one. They've shown us over the years that they are very good at defending, and of course they are not novice at that. But over 2 legs, I will still give it to Atleti. Right. So we don't want to waste time on this, please. Let's take your percentage chance, for the return leg. So for the return leg, my percentage chance would be 70-30 in favor of Atleti. Atleti. Bigdemmy.
Well, Atletico Madrid, they are a beast when it comes to knocking out teams in Europe. So I still fancy them ahead of Borussia Dortmund. Though the atmosphere is going to be different. It's going to be yellow wall, black and yellow. And if Sebastian Haller had started the game, or if he turned up, if he turns up like ASAP in the return leg, he can go south for Atletico Madrid. But for now, with Atletico having, when they want to block their defense line, they can do so. So they want to go back to that old school Atletico. And I believe that's what's going to happen. They that demonic and satanic football. yes, I know. Iron ball. When they just say, okay, you know what, Griezmann, do the dirty job by yourself up front. Then the rest, then they go. Back. Is it 8-1-1? Arsenal we face. So what's your percentage chance? Percentage chance. Because I don't know which team is going to show up on that day. But I would give it an advantage to Atletico Madrid. Maybe 55-45. 55-45.
Mazi?
Yeah, I want to give it to Dortmund. Atletico.
I understand now. You are putting on your Barcelona jersey. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to.
I want to give. Who are you giving it?
Dortmund now.
Dortmund. Yeah,
That's why I said he's putting on his Barcelona jersey.
I'm gonna.
So Atletico can be.
You are looking for
so
an easy way out.
No, Dortmund is never easy.
Right.
And the reason why I'm giving it to Dortmund is because, having scored in Atletico's home,
right,
in the 81st minute,
and they would have gotten the
draw. Yes,
they
are a very, very dicey team, very attacking. Sancho has been playing well. Adeyemi is doing good. See,
and let's not forget, this is the Dortmund side that qualifies from the so-called group of death, the group that had Newcastle, Juventus, and PSG.
Exactly.
And they scaled through. I mean, we can make an argument that they didn't have
easy. Juventus.
Yeah, they had
Juventus. Qualify
AC Milan. My bad. Yeah, AC Milan. They had AC Milan, PSG, and then Newcastle. Yes. So I mean, we can argue that they had an easy draw in the round of 16 against PSV. But again, they've been useless in the league. But come on, this Champions League.
Yeah, they are very, very. It's a tricky team, right? Very attacking.
We don't know what to expect.
But one thing I can tell you is that stadium is going to be on fire. So if Atletico is not ready to come with their A game, there's no option for a big game for Atletico.
So what's your
you have to come with your 60. I'll go for 65-35
in favor of Dortmund.
Dortmund is going to score at home, and that game is going to be stretched. Atletico have to come with their A game, so I'm giving it to Dortmund.
All right, guys. This is Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and we've been having fun. This is Champions League exclusive, the previews and the reviews of the next game. So, guys, before we go, I want us to talk about, this Gabriel handball issue. Thomas Tuchel came out and, he said, I don't want to quote him now, but what he said basically was that the referee said it was a kid's mistake to have awarded that as a penalty. Do we have anything to add to that? What's that going to be?
From an Arsenal perspective, I won't sugarcoat this. Gabriel should be doing better. That means he lost focus. That was why it happened. Because as a pro, you shouldn't be doing such mistake. We were lucky. It was a PK. That's it.
Mazi.
Yeah, I think it's a PK. The referee already blew for the goal kick to be taken. And once the keeper plays the ball to you as a defender, you are expected to carry on with the game. He probably lost focus, like he said. Maybe he wasn't concentrating. He didn't know where he was. Or the setup wasn't good. Like, you have seen the setup like, this is now we are supposed to set up for our goal kick. Maybe somebody's supposed to be, and then he decides that it's not a good time to continue, because if I continue, maybe my pass, I don't know who I'm going to give my next pass to. So it must have been one of the two reasons. But when I listen to the reason why the referee didn't give it, right? I that's what the referee said. But when I listened to another referee that said there was no advantage to Bayern. Right, it wasn't as if Bayern pressure. Yeah. There was nothing. It wasn't as if Bayern was about to get the ball, so there was nothing really happening. So it's very difficult for the referee to just hand the advantage to Bayern just like that, because nothing happening. That was the explanation another referee gave, which I can see some reason, like if you pick the ball because a player wants to collect the ball from you, or the player has an advantage, then you're trying to give yourself an advantage. But he wasn't trying to give himself an advantage. It was loss of focus. But I still think it should have been a penalty. But he got away. He got away with that. I think even the referee self might have gotten confused. Like, what just happened? And he didn't really know what to do, and he played on. But
it is what it is. Pius, let's hear your own thoughts on that. The Gabriel handball, which the referee said he can't just give that because that's a kid's mistake. Do you want to add something?
Well, I think that was shameful. It was shameful of the referee. That should have been the penalty any time. And I hear a lot of persons after that game trying to make a case for the referee. I mean, this is if there are rules that govern the game. And as the referee, your job is to make sure that the rules that govern the game are adhered to strictly and wholeheartedly. I don't see any reason why you should be making case for professional players who are playing professionally. I can calling them kids. This is it's to me. I saw it as being disgraceful, and of course.
But some arguments we can have an argument. Pius, we can have an argument that giving that kind of penalty in that stage of the competition, is that not going to be somehow controversial? A little, don't you think so?
Arsenal are used to controversy. Arsenal, they like controversy. Like the one they will say they did not hear the whistle.
Somebody went foul of the laws of the game. I mean, if you go foul of the laws of the game, you have to be penalized for it. Whether controversy, whether it happened in the first minute or in the 90th minute, if it happens that was when I saw. In fact, the fact that the referee didn't give the penalty wasn't even the problem. It was the excuse he gave for giving the penalty.
Right.
Pius, do you remember when the Arsenal fans claimed that a certain player did not hear the whistle? That's Arsenal for you. They always get themselves into this situation where you apply the rules and it will be in their book forever. Like they will keep talking about it.
So let me.
If that penalty was given, trust me, Arsenal fans will come and say, somebody's winch hunting them or UEFA is against them or something.
Let me tell you something. From my own opinion, I believe that could have been the reason why the referee just had to look away during the Saka and Manuel incidents, just to use that to compensate them. Right? You don't have to agree, but let's look at it that way.
Saka and Manuel's own is actually debatable.
Hold on. Now let me tell you something. Saka on
if man handled the ball in 18. That was subjected to a VAR check. So now, VAR check. This one doesn't have to go to the VAR check at all.
Hold on, Pius. I understand your message. Now, what if the referee could have, maybe he said he actually, because it was a goal kick, right? Or maybe there was a stop in play, and maybe the referee could have bailed himself out by saying he has not asked the goalkeeper to
heard
kick the ball.
We heard his whistle. What I want Arsenal fans to know.
The very first time I said it. I didn't sugarcoat anything.
That's a penalty.
It's a penalty.
But you know what I want Arsenal fans to know?
The same thing with the Saka incident. I said it wasn't a penalty.
What I want Arsenal fans to know now.
Everybody will have their different opinion now.
I know, but what I want Arsenal fans to understand right now, at this point, UEFA has repaid you.
No, don't say that.
UEFA has repaid you.
Don't say that.
Why don't say that? Because you guys keep bringing up all these things. Now, let it be on record that there was a time that UEFA repaid you a blank penalty.
All right, guys,
let it slide.
This is Gold Rush Football Podcast on Gold Rush Football TV, and on this note, we're going to say we ended the podcast. Thank you very much for Soccer Arena Indy Crew for coming to this podcast. As always, be supporting the brand, and Mazi, Bigdemmy, our fans from Gold Rush Football TV. We can't just keep saying, we can't stop saying thank you to you. And then thank you very much for Pius, my ever-ready Pius, for always supporting the brand and always standing by my side, every day, every time. And, the calls, the conversation, the ideas and the likes. Thank you, Pius. Let me hear from you, Bigdemmy.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. It's always nice when I have brilliant minds talking football. I know we all have different opinions, but sitting down here talking football with you, Mazi, Pius. I met Pius when I went to Nigeria last year, December.
Right.
He brought me over to his show in Brilla FM. Thank you, Pius. Thank you. And anytime, Larry, anytime,
of course.
anytime.
I know, right?
Put a call through, send a text. I'll be right here. I'll answer the call.
Mazi.
Yeah, I'm a lover of perspectives, right? Because if you don't have perspectives, if you don't have different
we can't just be at the same.
Everybody can't just be
the same. We have to have our divided opinions.
Exactly. It's part of the game. It's part of life to have perspective. And we just have to enjoy each and everyone's perspective,
Exactly.
the way they see the game, you know. And that's football. Some people love attack, some people love defense, some people want to be in between. So I definitely always enjoy it here. You know, Gold Rush, one of my favorite podcasts to even listen to. So I encourage you, you know, listen to even the past ones. You know, listen to them. There have been predictions about the season. There have been predictions about the Champions League.
Right.
You know, there are so many games going on. So let's all participate. Let's make Gold Rush Football Podcast, one of the biggest in the United States, you know. So, you know, I commend you for what you are doing, and thank you for having me once again.
Thank you. Pius, how far?
Well, always a pleasure being on this podcast because I mean this is where you interact with guys who know football and they talk football without violence. Sometimes I really wonder, I really think or imagine having a lot of football fans with this particular knowledge, and of course they don't probably have to go the violent way. I appreciate everyone who has been on this podcast, and for Bigdemmy, I must say this, since you mentioned that you were on the show, I must also say this, that the fans also want to hear your perspective after you must have lost the league.
Oh, wow. What a way to run the podcast. All right, guys. Thank you very, very much, and have a lovely week ahead of you. Bye for now. Bye.